Thank you. Thank you both for being here. And thanks for your testimony. You guys are way ahead of where I was in this. You're already doing what I thought, yeah, that needs to be done. Just out of curiosity, we talked about both in the hearing that we had in Labor H a couple weeks ago. Let's suggest I'm a tribal member. I'm a young kid in high school. I want to go to college, and I have a dream. I want to become a doctor someday, or I want to become a dentist, or one of those things. And so I work with you and your tribal community college, and you get me so far, I get a degree there, and then I've got to go on to medical school or dental school, right? How... Because you don't run any medical or dental schools, do you?
We provide support to students who go to over 1,700 campuses.
Yeah, but they're medical and dental schools in
there are not currently any medical or dental schools within tribal colleges, although we do have DHAT programs in Alaska.
See, and the reason I asked this question, I'm curious. I'm curious about there are tribal health issues that are different than what I will say mine. Tribes have used herbs and things and done great jobs with those kind of things that are kind of not, I don't want to say not accepted, but are not the normal treatment that you would get today. The best treatment for diabetes is actually getting tribal members eating the traditional foods that they've always eaten and stuff. I mean, bar none, that's the best way to do it and stuff. When you send a tribal member to a medical school, do they have the opportunity to learn those types of things that are important to the tribes, or how do we make that happen so that they don't just, and I don't want to put a separation, they just don't learn our medicine. They learn your medicine too, you know?
So I think that's a really great question. And I think, if we started a tribal college and then we create a pipeline onto UND or other programs, and our tribal colleges have great matriculation agreements between those universities in our 4 years. But there's another issue at place, and that's creating clinicals within IHS. Because once we graduate those folks, we want them to come back and work in our communities. So let's say they do need to leave to go to UND, but we want them to come back and work in our communities. We need to create a better opportunity to do clinical rotations within IHS, because right now it's just not there. They need funding for an infrastructure to be able to build that clinical rotation. And did you know we don't even have a list of all of the IHS facilities that offer clinicals?
Really?
There's not a national list to do that. So if we could start there, it's hard to know how to build their infrastructure when they don't even have one solid place that we could go to understand that. But even as we create that pipeline from a student from our TCU to the four-year institution onto medical school, we want them to come back. And then that means making sure IHS has the facilities and opportunities to be able to do that for our students.
And we have seen, I'm a product of a tribal college, and there are courses that integrate tribal ecological knowledge, which is what you're talking about. So you see that at tribal colleges. And then the beautiful thing that we're seeing at Native Forward, since we fund over 1,700, we fund students at these campuses and then coordinate different efforts with them. And we're seeing more tribal professors teaching courses on campuses. And I think that the more of that we see, the more integration of those tribal ecological knowledge that will be integrated. I've seen that in the agriculture field. So when we teach, when we do collaborations with the University of Montana, some of the professors there are just amazing, where they're teaching courses that integrate the tribal knowledge into mainstream universities. And I do think that is a benefit that our students and our people can contribute to society. So,
yeah, that's the other question I was going to ask. Are we treating, or are we teaching people like me that might want to go to medical school to learn anything about tribal ways of doing things? Because who knows? I might go practice in Blackfoot, Idaho, where southern border of my town is the Fort Hall Indian Reservation. I might have a whole lot of Native Americans that come and see me and stuff, and that type of thing. Because I've discovered over the years, or at least I've come to believe, I've come to understand, that there's a lot of knowledge, ancient knowledge in tribes that we don't understand. And I say we don't understand. And not just in medicine and that type of things. I mean, I've been fascinated. We're dealing with wildfires. Look back how how Indians managed lands in the past, eons before we ever came. And we could learn a lot. And I guess what I'm getting at is how much interaction is there that goes on between these tribal colleges and advanced degrees and other things that because there ought to be a lot of interaction.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's something that we can always work on doing a better job, but since the inception of our organization in 1969, that's something that our founders have felt was important. We have to have representation, and we have to have educated natives with graduate and professional degrees. Yep. That starts with culturally congruent education and then leads us into those graduate and professional degrees so that we can have voices in spaces where we can make a difference. So whether that's in policy work with Deb Holland or whether that's leading educational institutions. So there are a lot of the graduates of the BIE programs who are leading tribal colleges right now. So they're leading those tribal colleges, but also people like Dr. Henrietta Mann, who served in an administrative position at a mainstream university, well, a couple of them, and then which was University of Montana and Montana State University. So she was at an administrative level, and it's when you have that type of leadership at that level that you see change and you see partnerships and you see the integration of more tribal customs into those mainstream universities. So I think that is kind of key, is making sure that our people have the support at a local level and with the tribal colleges, but then are able to have the support through the BIE programs to get those higher level degrees so that their voice is heard. Yeah.
This is an important discussion. Mm-hmm. It really is. Ms. Pingree.
Yeah, thank you. And really interesting discussion. Jocelyn was just showing me that there is some sort of finder tool on the IHS website. I don't know if that's new or not what you're looking for. On residencies, maybe? Or
thank you. I will take a look. The last time I looked for a list just for folks that would do clinicals, that was not provided for nursing clinicals. But if that's an updated list, thank you so much. I'll take a look.
I didn't mean to derail your suggestion because I also thought what you were saying earlier was this idea of, I mean, I was sort of shocked to hear you say that people could come out of a nursing school and then not be able to get a job in some IHS. That seems crazy since we're looking for so many people. So I'd be interested to know, if you wanted to write some language that maybe we could think about putting into the Appropriations bill or just any way to sort of move forward on that idea of certain number of placements because I do like that idea and it seems like just a natural kind of coupling.
AHEC is currently in the middle of writing a red paper to look at all of the policy solutions, whether those be legislative letters or administrative fixes that we can do to correct this. It's really quite fascinating how many roadblocks are across the way. Everything from our folks graduated a GS2 and they won't start hiring until a GS4. That seems like a very simple solution, right, that we should be able to address. And so we look forward to sharing that with you. Be very helpful. But we would absolutely have some language to start addressing this right away. Thank you.
Please do. I would really be interested in that.
Yes.
And one other thing you mentioned that you had a 50% increase last year in requests. Mm-hmm. So what do you attribute that to? More people wanting to go to college or other sources of funds drying up?
Other sources of funds drying up. And not just the supports. And, the number one barrier is to college for Native students is affordability. Right. And so scholarships are the core things that we focus on and will be until we can address that. But it's the scholarship funding that from other sources as well as those support services on campus. So we've seen a massive increase in the number of calls that we get with students needing just additional supports, access to resources. So we have seen, a decline in those other resources, so them leaning on us.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been talking a little bit about this all day, but with other cuts in the budget, then it just puts that much more pressure on the money that's there, whether other scholarship programs are being cut or some of the other support services. If you're a student, you don't qualify for SNAP anymore, then all of a sudden that's a new problem, or if you can't access housing. So I think we have to be aware of that when we're thinking about the fact that we never have enough resources here to begin with, and when some of those other funds are gone, that's really problematic.
And our average college-going student is head of household, who's working and making an average of $35,000 a year, and our average unmet need is $26,000. We did a college affordability study with 3 key partners of ours, and the surprising thing that we took away from that is 16% of our Native scholars across the country are experiencing homelessness. Wow. And I've talked to many of those students. And when I tell that number, they're like, "That's me. I had to live out of my car to be able to go to college." So you have to choose if you want housing or if you want an education. So just feeling the effects of the scholars is pretty. There is a heavy burden on them.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you both for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys, whether you realize it or not, you're the key to the future of ending poverty on reservations and across this country. So thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
You bet. Cecil Fire Thunder, Cecilia Fire Thunder, and Harina Martin. Sorry.
That's okay. Good. I know. Well, you saved the best for last, right?
That's exactly right.
Exactly right.
Cecilia, you're first.